I said long time no see, right? So, as I guess you're assuming, I did give birth to my baby, and he is 100% healthy. And I thought I'd share a little bit of my birth story without going into super details. Well, I gave birth to him at 35 weeks, 5 days, I think. No, it was 37 weeks, 5 days, sorry. So yeah, I was 37 weeks, 5 days along, and so a few days before I gave birth to him, I had went in to do a stress test because for like 2 days in a row, it wasn't so much that he wasn't moving at all, but his movements had decreased dramatically within those 2 days compared to what they were. So I was just kind of scared and wanted to check on him. And by the way, if you hear like the weird clicking noise, he's in his swing right now, sorry. So yeah, I went in to do a stress test, and I was in there for like hours, and of course every time they went to go test him, he was not meeting the criteria that they were looking for. So they kept me overnight to monitor him. And overnight, they said that he did just fine throughout the, with the monitoring. So they sent me home. And they said, go ahead and come back and we'll do another stress test. It's like an ultrasound but different. And we'll go ahead and just check him again to be double sure that he's okay. So I had already had a checkup appointment on this day. And they just added the stress test to go before the regular checkup appointment on the same day. Yes. And so before my appointment, for like, let me see, because I gave birth to him on Saturday, and the first stress test that I stayed overnight with was Monday night. So probably like Thursday and Friday, I had started experiencing new pain, and now this is like my first pregnancy, so I wasn't really sure what labor pains were, or well, not labor pains, but I wasn't really sure what contractions were. I hadn't felt anything that I had been able to identify as contractions before, and I had done so much research, and like labor contractions are supposed to be more consistent and like so far apart and whatnot, and it wasn't meeting that checklist that I kept looking up. So it wasn't consistent. It was very odd, but it was a pain that resonated like from the lower pelvic region all the way around to my back. And it would come in waves, but the waves weren't consistent. And so I kept telling my husband, I think this is contractions, but I don't think it's labor contractions because it's just not, yes, it's just not, doing what labor contractions are described to do. Anyway, the morning of my doctor's appointment, I took a bath to try and ease the pain, and the bath helped. And I kept reading that with labor contractions, doing things to ease the pain would not stop the pain, but the bath did help. So then I just kept assuming I was having contractions, but not labor contractions. So I go in and I do the stress test. They look at him, and he met all the criteria immediately, and they said that he's doing just fine. And then I go to my regular checkup, and my doctor wasn't there. She was supposed to be, but she ended up getting called into, somebody had went into labor, I think, so she ended up getting called. So there was another doctor that I met with, and I was explaining to her the pain I was experiencing, and I kept telling her I'm just not sure if it's labor contractions or Braxton Hicks or what. So she's like, well, would you like for us to check your cervix? Because the last time my cervix was checked, I was at a 2. And I said, sure, let's go ahead and check. So she checks, and I think that she said I was at 4 or 5. So she was like, yeah, you're definitely going to go ahead and stay and be monitored and, kind of like walk the floor, and we'll go from there. So I go back to the same area where I was monitored for the stress test, and, now you'll probably hear the train in the background, I apologize, but yeah, so I'm there, and within an hour I went from like 5 to 6 or 7. So they was like, yes, you're definitely getting a room right now, and you're definitely having the baby. I was like, okay. So, my husband was at work. My mother-in-law was the one that went to the appointment with me. So we're trying to get a hold of my husband. And he was like, okay, I'm on lunch. Let me finish my lunch real quick, and I'll head that way immediately. And so then I called my mom. Now, mind you, that this was my brother's birthday. I had plans to go to my brother's birthday party later that evening. So I kept thinking, oh man, my brother is probably going to get his nephew for his birthday. They're probably going to have the same birthday. So I called my mom, who was at work, and she already had a stressful day planned ahead for her because she had to do work, and then she had to go to the store and pick up my brother's birthday cake, and then come home and set everything up for the birthday. And there was going to be, like, you know, he was turning 17. There was going to be a bunch of teenagers and stuff coming, and she had to cook. And so she was like, no, don't do this to me today. And I was like, I can't help it. He wants to come when he wants to come. Because, yeah, he was due in October, but I had him late September. I'm not going to give away, like, exact dates and stuff because it's just personal, but yeah. So, so we get the room, and, you know, everybody's coming in, and we're doing good, and, I think I was at a 7 when they was asking me all the questions and going through all that, and then finally, I went in for the epidural, and the epidural, I was so scared to get the epidural. I think a lot of people are, because it is frightening. Like, you hear all this stuff of, oh, if you move wrong, you could become paralyzed, and so many things can go wrong, and it's a long needle, and it goes right up your back next to your spine, and it was extremely terrifying, but it wasn't as excruciatingly painful that I thought it was going to be. The epidural does last for 30 minutes straight. That's kind of like a scary thought to think about, but yes, you are having that epidural fixated into your back next to your spine for 30 minutes straight. You have to, like, put your knees to your chest, you know, while full-blown pregnant and dealing with contractions. Now, my contractions wasn't really hurting me that bad. Like, I was standing up because I had laid back and I had laid still to do the monitoring for so long. So I was like, no, I don't want to sit down. I want to stand up while we're going through these questions. And they was like, are you sure you don't want to take a seat? Like, you're sure you're okay? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. It was like, I don't know, even the nurses was kind of amazed that I, being 6 centimeters dilated, how am I still standing up and okay? I don't know. But, yeah, so the epidural, oh my gosh. Like, I mean, it did sting here and there, I'm not gonna lie, but what freaked me out the most was I could feel it. I don't know exactly what's happening back there, but in my anxiety brain, it feels like something hard is tapping against my spine. Like, I feel it. And it was, oh, I can still, like, remember it to this day. And yes, it's true, if you get an epidural, you will have back pains afterwards. I've heard for the rest of your life that pain never goes away. It hasn't gone away for me, and he's 3 months old. I get the pain in the exact spot that they inserted the epidural, and it's a very sore pain, and it's something that you have to deal with. But yeah, once that epidural kicked in, though, a lot of people don't like it. Like, my mom said that she hated the feeling of it. I kind of loved it. It's not like the feeling where your legs fall asleep and it's tingling and kind of painful when you step to try and walk on them to wake them up. Your legs just feel like they weigh tons. Like, your legs feel like they're so heavy you cannot lift them. But I don't know, I loved it. It kind of relaxed me a lot, really. But it did slow down my dilation. So, but over time, I'm going to try and make it not too long of a story, but over time, I did go full face, 10 centimeters dilated, and we had been through things where I had to have an oxygen mask almost the whole time. That I was in the room, you know, while he was coming out, and yeah, so I don't know why exactly. My oxygen levels must have just been low. But I also have asthma and I have anxiety real bad that can cause severe panic attacks. So I don't know. Even though the oxygen like dried my nose and mouth out like crazy, I kind of appreciated it. But they did have to keep reminding me how to breathe. I don't know. You start freaking out and you forget how to breathe. But so yeah, we had done where they sat me up for a while because they was trying to get him lowered a little bit more. We had done like this big, it looks like a giant, huge exercise ball. And they stick that between your legs and make you lay sideways because he was not turned the correct way. So they was trying to turn him, which I don't think he ever turned the correct way. Which I know that sounds weird. How do you not know? And well, I'm going to explain to you. So yeah, every contraction that I would have, his heart rate would drop considerably low, like extremely low. Like his heart rate was a consistent 160, 150. And then all of a sudden it was dropping down to 60, which sounds okay for a grown adult, but not for a baby. So they was having me do everything. They was making me get on all fours, which I know sounds nuts, but it happens. There was like 2 different times they tried to get me to push, and I was pushing, and there's just like so many things they were attempting to do to help. At one point, she had to break my water for me, and at one point the doctor also had like literally took her arm and reached up in there to try and grab him and pull him out because the way his heart rate was dropping, it was just kind of like he was in so much stress every time I would have a contraction. So yeah, and I guess they kept looking at my husband and telling him, don't be surprised if the umbilical cord is wrapped around his neck. And they kept telling me either it's wrapped around his neck or it's possible that his shoulder is pinching it. So basically I'm being told he's losing oxygen. That's why his heart rate's dropping. And I remember that I had told the doctor when I first met her, because my doctor was called in, so I didn't have my doctor, I had somebody else, but she did a fantastic job. I wasn't nervous at all with her. But I told her and I begged her, I was like, one of the things I'm so scared of is having a cesarean. If I don't have to do that, please don't let me go through with that. I really want to try and push him out. And she's like, well, we're going to do everything we can. And they did. They really did. They did everything that they could think of. But, yeah, so they told me to push, and I felt like, I don't really know. You're kind of out of it. But I felt like I pushed for 2 minutes, and they was like, I'm sorry, sweetheart, but we got to go. And I'm already getting stuff shoved on my head, and things being taken off. They're taking my lip ring out. And so, yeah, I was going in for emergency C-section. The epidural itself gives you the shakes as it is, but I knew the difference between the epidural shakes and the panic attack shakes. You know, as soon as they started rolling me out into the hallway, the only thing my body could do uncontrollably was just this. I know that looks so weird, but like my arms were literally just shaking that much. Everything was trembling. And like I said, I know the epidural causes trembles, but this was a whole nother level of shaking. I was panicking. Because for one, I have anxiety so bad when it comes to anything medical. Just even getting my blood drawn or even like a flu shot. I have to, it's not that I'm so much scared of the needle. Like everybody hates the needle. But it's just, I don't know, I have a feeling that I can't control, where my body makes me feel like I'm being violated, even though they're doing their job and they're not offending me in any way, and they're very gentle with me, and they took very good care of me. It's just something that I can't help. I feel violated when I'm being poked and prodded, and just, I don't know how to explain it. It's something I try so hard to fight off. So, I get in there, and, you know, well, first of all, like, the trip through the hallway was super short, but I do remember the guy behind me, who was, I think, the anesthesiologist, he kept saying, I'm pushing it, I'm pushing it, I'm pushing it, and I hope it gets to her in time, which you're talking about the epidural, trying to make sure that I'm numb really good. So, I mean, everything that's being said and done is freaking me out more and more and more. Like, I'm just going into whole new levels of anxiety and panic. So then as soon as we get in the room, first of all, my thoughts are obviously going to, oh my God, is my baby okay? You know? How bad is this? Sorry, but I was also super scared that my husband wasn't going to get to be in there before they cut me open. Because usually once they start cutting you open, they don't open that door for sanitary reasons and to, help fight, bacteria and infection coming in the air. Because you're open and exposed. There's nothing stopping bad things from getting in there. But, so I was just super scared. And the guy kept, I kept hearing a woman, like, I can't see anything even though my eyes are open. Because, well, for one, they take my glasses off and I have such bad vision. And every time I look around, all I would see is just blurs of blue and white. I can't really even make out faces or what. I just hear, basically I'm just looking at the ceiling and hearing voices. And trying really hard not to look at the bright light because that was scaring me too. So I kept hearing the woman, down here saying, I need the knife now, give me the knife now, I need the knife now, where's the knife? Like over and over again. And at the same time that she's saying that, the anesthesiast guy is like, no, I don't know if it's reached her in time, don't cut her yet, I don't know if she's numb, I don't know if it's gotten there in time. So I'm like, oh my God, please don't let me get cut open with feeling down there, like please. And then, like this whole time, I kept trying to look for my husband and I couldn't find him. Because everybody's wearing the same thing and I can't see, everything's so blurry. So this whole time that I'm being cut open, which he said he came in the room right before they sliced me, I think, or right after they sliced me, but before they started pulling things out. So he was in there, but the whole time that I was experiencing the surgery, I didn't have any knowledge that he was in there. So that was really what was getting to me a lot too, besides the obvious big reason of worrying about my child. So all I feel is like a bunch of pressure and tugging and pulling, and I literally feel like I have been mauled by a bear without the pain receptors working. Like I feel like the bear is chewing on me and just ripping me and pulling me and tugging me, and oh my gosh, I can't explain it to you. Which if you don't know what a cesarean look it up. They slice you open basically from hip to hip. Your lower intestines are pulled out and set next to you for them to get to the baby. So then they get to the baby, then they have to pull the placenta out, then they have to put everything back inside and sew you shut. Which I was given the glue, which I really appreciated. That was super easy to work with and not painful. It didn't irritate my incision site either. So yeah, it was definitely scary. And then when they pulled him out, I remember them saying, gosh, which they told me I was going into shock. They told me, ma'am, you have to calm down, you're putting yourself in shock. Because the only thing I could do, because you're laying there with your arms out like this and I can't see anything and I don't know what's going on. Like this stuff happened so fast that I didn't have time to prosper at all. Like, and I think that they told my husband that from the time they cut me open to the time they shut me happened within, I think, 8 minutes, he said. Which is insane to think about that, how quick that was. And the woman, whoever cut me, did such a good job. The line is so straight and so small. You'd have to really look for my scar to be able to see it. She just did a beautiful job. Even my doctor looked at it and was like, you're going to be so proud of this when you see it. And when I got home, because it takes longer for a C-section to heal than vaginal birth. But when I got home, his aunt has had a C-section before. So I was having them look at my incision site to, make sure nothing was going on. And it was just like, it was like the second day I got home, she looked at it and she was like, seriously, it looks like it's been healing a lot longer than what it has. It looks great. So grateful for all those doctors and nurses that helped me in that hospital. They treated me just so good, and they saved my baby's life because they made the right decisions. I haven't gotten emotional about it since it happened. I'm sorry, but it really did terrify me at the time. I know a lot of people who go through C-sections all the time, and I just kind of feel like, oh, you quit being like a puss and get over it, but it traumatized me really bad. It really did. Because I hated going through it at the time, and I was so scared for him, and just the need of wanting my husband with me during that, and not knowing that he was there. But anyway, when they pulled him out, I heard whimpering. He wasn't like screaming, crying like normal, but he was whimpering, and it was like, listen to his whimper, mommy, listen to him. He looks perfect. And then finally, I looked around and finally saw my husband's body shape, and I remember I reached out, and all I could touch was like his stomach, but he came up to me and grabbed my hand, and he was like, look, babe, he's got dark hair, he's got dark hair. And his hair has lightened tremendously since then, but the reason why he said that to me is because during the whole pregnancy, I kept telling him, when he's first born, he will come out with coal black hair. I'm telling you right now, he'll come out with coal black hair. Now, his hair may lighten to the same blonde that my husband's hair lightened to and his oldest boy lightened to, which it is. It's lightening. It's very light now. But so yeah, that was the reason why the first thing he said to me was, he's got dark hair, babe, he's got dark hair. And I remember I looked at him and I said, is he pretty? It's like the first thing I said. And he was like, yes, he looks so good. So they take him over, and I keep thinking, like, they're already sewing me up, but I keep thinking, okay, I've seen a lot of pictures of women that's had C-sections, and after the C-section's over and they're being sewed up, they get to have their babies placed on their chest so they can do, you know, skin to skin if they want or whatever. So I kept thinking, where's my baby? Like, I have yet to see him. I haven't seen him yet. And I just kept thinking, why won't they give him to me? So, next thing I know, they come up to me and they said, we're sorry, but he's going to have to go in EQ. He'll probably be in there for about 4 hours. And they said it was because once he came out, his heart rate skyrocketed really bad. And they just kept saying that he was under just so much stress. And then when he came out, his heart was like trying to catch up. Which he was only in there for like 2 or 3 hours because he did such a good job. They just wanted to keep an eye on him. But yeah, for the first couple hours, I didn't even get to see him. My husband got to go up there, and he took pictures and some videos of him for me and brought it down. And then when I first saw him, I was just like, oh my God. You know, I was just like, hold on, I have to take a picture of him first. I know it sounds weird, like you think your first thing is to want to grab him, but I was like, hold on, I need a picture of his face, because and then finally I picked him up and just, oh my gosh. And then he came out, I'm not going to give you every detail, but he did come out 7'1", and I tried to breastfeed, and then they came to do the check on him, and he had dropped to 6'3", and I wasn't producing enough basically to sustain him. They told me that, look, whatever breast milk I can get out, give to him. Most definitely keep trying to latch, all that, but I have to give him formula because I'm just not making enough to keep him fed. But now he's on full formula. I dried up pretty quickly afterwards, and they said because I have the polycystic ovarian syndrome that it would make it difficult to keep breastfeeding, and it did. When I was trying to pump and get stuff out, not a lot was coming out to begin with. But anyway, this is a long video. I tried really hard not to make it so long. But yeah, that's where I've been for like the past 4 months since you've last seen me. I have a few other video ideas that I want to get out. It's just been kind of difficult because it's still, you know, I'm not used to having a little tiny one all around, so it's tiring, obviously. I enjoy it, but it is tiring, so I'm going to try to build up the energy to wake up at a decent hour and put my videos together, because I do have a few ideas that's been accumulating. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah, let me know, go ahead and use the comment section to tell everybody each other's birth stories, so that way we can know that we're not alone. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.